Hey, what is up guys? Michael here from Michael Alexander Photography. And today we are going to be editing this wonderful photo provided to me by my friend Florens, the wedding photographer extraordinaire. And this is a photo he recently took at a live Nikon South Africa Workshop at Cine Photo Tools in Cape Town. So he shot this photo recently on a Z9 at a Nikon South Africa Workshop down in Cape Town at Cine Photo Tools Studios. And we're going to be retouching it for you guys today, so hope you guys enjoy this video. So if you're looking to elevate your business or elevate your photos, I highly recommend you either get yourself a retoucher or you learn how to retouch yourself. But today I'm going to show you guys how I retouch these photos. So firstly, we're going to start isolating and we're going to start looking at the photo in different layers. And by that I mean we're going to start looking at the photo through luminosity and color. So luminosity means we're going to look at the photo in black and white. We're just going to look at the light levels in the photo. And then color, obviously self-explanatory, we're just going to look at the different colors that are available in this image. When retouching, one of the biggest things is isolating what's going on, because especially even in this image is a great example of that. There's a lot going on, so it's very easy to get a little bit lost in the photo. So we need to kind of simplify the photo a little bit so it's easier for us to visualize where we want to take it. So as a quick example, I did a chroma and luma split in this photo just to showcase to you guys what is going on. So firstly we're going to look at luma, and luma is just basically light values, and what you can see here is it's much easier to see what's going on. So we've got some stray hairs that we need to be dealing with, and we got some blemishes that we need to work with. We got a lot of hair going over the face, so we're going to do a little bit of healing, and that's about it. Otherwise the photo looks really good. And then we're going to look at the chroma on its own, which is just color. So there's a lot of color, as you guys can see in this image, and very predominantly pinks and skin tone color. But I don't think that is going to be the most prominent thing that we're going to be worried about in this photo. We're going to be mainly focusing on the light levels. So let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on the luminosity layer because it's going to take away all the color so that we are able to see where we need to be doing some spot healing. It's going to be a lot easier for me to see the different hair strands or the blemishes in black and white than it would be for me to see it in color. Now healing is mainly up to you, the different tools that you use. I like to use a mix of both, of content aware, like the spot healing brush, and also the stamp removal tool. And as you guys can see, there's a lot going on here, so we're going to be just doing this back and forth, switching between the two tools, and we are going to be speeding it up so that you don't have to sit and watch through a whole video of me just removing little strands of hairs. Alright, so we're back and we've done some spot healing, and we've done a lot. If you look, that's what's nice doing this in a black and white layer, is you definitely get to see it. Like I'll show it to you guys in the color layer. It is noticeable, but it's not as noticeable. As you can see, that's me switching the layers on and off before and after. So we're going to keep it in black and white, but now we're going to go to the fun part, and now we're going to do some skin smoothing, and the way we're going to do that is frequency separation. Now I'm going to be using one of my legacy plugins, NBP freqsep Control, and unfortunately this is no longer available, but we have the new NBP lineup of actions, the Pro actions, so definitely go check them out, link down below, and frequency separation is in there as well, and it actually has been improved. I just prefer this method because I've been using it for so long. Alright, so now one of the most important things about working in Photoshop is we're going to be working in layers so that we're non-destructive. So now we're going to duplicate this low layer because that's the one that we're going to be doing some frequency separation on. And the reason for that is, if we've made changes and we don't like them, we can always go back. But if you're always working on one layer and you make a mistake, you have to start from the beginning, and we don't want that. So we're going to be working in steps. There's so many different ways of frequency separation. This is just my method, and I do it in black and white because, again, it's easier for me to visualize what I'm doing because I'm not bothered by all the other noises and stuff like that, like color, because we mainly want to focus on light and texture when frequency separation because we're working in skin. So you do want to zoom in, but you also want to take a step back from time to time so that you're not, when you're busy editing, fixating on one spot, because it's about the whole image. And it's not about that one spot. So you need to just every now and then take a step back from your image and look at it again. We're going to be following the grain of the light. We're going to be following the flow of the light when doing frequency separation. So we're going to speed this up a bit so you guys can see, because this is a lengthy process, but you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. We're going to be following the grain like this, and we're just going to be blending light and dark together. So see you guys in a minute. Alright, so we're back, and as you guys can see, we've done some skin smoothing. It's very difficult to see it from the get-go. Let me switch it on and off. There we go. It's very difficult to see it while you're busy doing it, but it's like, you know, you build on top of it the whole time. And to me, the signs of a good retouch is similar to the signs of a good thief. You need to make it look like you were never there. It's definitely visually you can see something's been retouched, but it needs to be as subtle as possible. If you go too far, then people can definitely tell it's been retouched. This, we are still within the natural realm, and the image still looks like a person. There is a point in skin smoothing especially that you can go a little bit too far, so that's something I always tell my students to avoid, to just keep an eye out for. If it's your style, then by all means. But in my opinion, for magazine quality work, you definitely want to make it look as natural as possible. So now we're going to be doing dodging and burning. Now this is a editing skill that everybody uses. It's such a old school technique, and it's still being used today, and it's one of the techniques that a lot of photographers struggle with, but it's one of the techniques that only gets better with practice. So again, there's ways of making this easier on yourself. We're still going to be using the helper layer. We're still going to be only focusing on the brightness. And there we go. Again, let's switch on the helper layer. Let me show you guys before, after, before, after. Slow build up, and we're getting there. Now that we are done with all the luminosity levels and skin smoothing, we're going to duplicate this and flatten it. So we're working on a new layer, but now we're going to focus on skin color. Now we're going to run one of my favorite actions, Skin Texture Control Pro, and yeah, this is a very hefty way of doing it. It's one of my favorite ways. We're going to give it the skin a little bit of extra color. We're going to play around with the color a little bit. We're going to give her some vibrance. Alright, so now that the layers have been activated, it does look like a lot, but it is just there for the added control. So we're going to start with the midtones, because there's a lot of midtones here, and I always like starting with the base layer, the midtones. And we're going to add a little bit of color into that. We're going to add a little bit of warmth. As you can see, it's very subtle. We don't want to go overboard with this. Just a little bit of, yeah, a little bit of extra pop into the skin. Now we're going to go into the shadows. And I like normally adding a little bit of purple in there. It's my personal preference. It can literally be whatever you feel. But I'm a big fan of adding that little bit of purple into the shadows. I think it just looks great. Like blush is always like this pink, and the shadows tend to be always where the blush is. So I'm just a really big fan of adding that into the photo. Alright, and now let's add a little bit of dark back into the areas that we have removed it from, and we've just activated a layer, and we're just going to pull that back in so it's not as harsh. Same with the highlights. Going to add a little bit of highlights back in. We're going to pull that back again, that it's not as harsh. This is just if you've done a little bit of too much, you know, if you added color into the brightest areas and you need to get a little bit of that white back, that pure white. So we're just going to pull it back till about there, and there we go. Before and after, before and after. Now what's nice is, if you think you've done a little bit too much, you can always reduce the opacity of it. I think we're just going to take it a little bit back, just to keep the original photo's colors in there as much as possible. We don't want to overpower, but we can. Alright, so now that we've done healing, smoothing, dodge and burn, and we've done some skin coloring, we need to do a little bit of sharpening, because sometimes with skin smoothing, you tend to lose some detail in the skin texture. We're going to bring that back. And the way we're going to bring that back is I'm going to use Action 16 from one of the new NBP actions that has just been released, and that is basically a sharpening tool. So what it does, it finds the texture layers within the photo and it will enhance the detail of it. So this is a lot of back and forth, a lot of playing around until you find exactly what you're looking for. Alright, so as you can see, we did a little bit of back and forth, we played around a little bit, and sometimes you saw it go a little bit too far, but that's the fun thing about working in layers, is you can literally dial it in until it works for you. So here's a little bit of before and after, a little bit of sharpening added to the photo. We've got some of the skin textures back. Before, after. Before, after. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we add some final touches. We're going to make the lips pop a little bit, and we're going to enhance the eyes a little bit. Alright, so editing the eyes is pretty simple. It's basically just enhancing the amount of light that's there. But I like doing it a little different. I like working in a crisscross pattern instead of just painting over the whole eye, because I find it follows then the texture that's already existing within the eye. And if you want to see more about it, I do have a more in-depth video on my channel if you want to go have a look at it. Over there, I'll be explaining a little bit more in detail how this process works. And there we go. It's subtle, but it is there. Now we're going to enhance the lips, one of my favorite things to do, and it's about as simple as selecting what's already there and then just adding it. And there we go, we're just going to dial that back because it is very intrusive, but it looks pretty cool. It gives that a little bit of extra pink. And that is it for today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, Brett, for giving me this photo to edit, and it's a really cool photo. So if you guys are really interested in doing some photography like this, definitely keep an eye on the Nikon workshops and also on Brett Florens, which his details will be down below, and you've probably already seen it pop up on the screen every now and then. And yeah, definitely check him out. He's a great educator and he'll teach you how to run a photography business successfully. But if you guys have any questions, any comments, please leave it down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'd love to hear what you guys would like to learn. So definitely check it out. If you guys enjoy this content and want to see some more, there's definitely some more on the channel, and also subscribe to be updated for any new content. But that is it for today, guys. Goodbye.